G'day, it's Pete here and I'm back for another Reboot Your Bridge, and Bec's going to join me again, and today we wanted to talk about how to solve a suit combination and also just some common ones where it's important to actually know how do we solve these, just knowing the best way to actually play a suit. Anyway, let's jump in and see how we go. So here we're not worried about anything about the bidding, we're only going to focus on the spade suit. How should we play the spade suit?
Play the queen around.
So take the finesse?
Or... yeah.
Yeah, not play to the ace?
I don't know.
Don't know? Alright. So what I'll go over is how to actually solve a suit combination. Like, there's some that we'll go over and just explain this is how you do it and you just need to know them. But then there's lots of them that you wouldn't have seen before and you have to work out how to actually solve them.
Okay.
So we've got two lines at play. We can either cash the ace of spades or we can lead the queen and finesse. Okay, so what I like to do is work out for both of those lines of play, when does it actually matter? So we're missing three spades, we're missing the king, the three and the two. Now if East has king doubleton spade, there's nothing we can do about it. So we just ignore all the ones where it doesn't matter for either of the lines of play. So if East has king doubleton spade or if East has king third spade, there's nothing we can do. And we also ignore the ones where both lines of play would work, where West has a singleton king of spades.
Okay.
So we ignore those. Yeah. Then what we do is we work out how many of the other combinations work for one and how many of the others work for the other. So if we lead the queen, that will work when West has king doubleton spade and also king third spade. And if we lay down the ace of spades, when does that work?
When East has a singleton king, or West? No, just East.
So when East has a singleton king, yeah.
Yeah.
So that means there are two cases where taking the finesse works and one where playing the ace works. So taking the finesse is twice as good as playing the ace, roughly. When you get to an even, like sometimes you might be there's one case for this and one case for that, then what you'd do is you just assume that you'd play for the suit to be divided more evenly. So like one of mine was West had king third spade and East had none of them. And the other ones, East has singleton king and West has too little. The second case is slightly more likely than breaking really bad. So that's your tiebreaker. So,
okay, yeah.
So here, what we want to do is just take a spade finesse.
Okay. Which one to play? No. Okay.
Yep. And then we can just repeat that and all good. Alright, do you want to just click redeal? Yeah. Again, not worried about anything but the spades. Okay. So, what about now? What should we do in the spade suit? So what are our two lines of play that we could take?
The same as last time, so playing the queen around or just playing the ace.
Yep, and how many spades are missing now?
2.
Okay, so what we want to do is ignore all the layouts where both of them fail. So when would both of those lines fail?
If East has both of them.
Yep. So if East has king doubleton, nothing we can do, so we ignore that. We also want to ignore when both of them work. So when do both work?
When West has singleton king.
Yep. Alright, and then next we want to look at when would taking the finesse work?
When West has 2 of them.
Yep. And when would playing the ace work?
When they have 1 each.
Yep. With East having singleton king.
East having singleton king.
Alright, so there's one case each, so it's a tie. How did we resolve ties?
The assume that they're going to be even.
Yeah, so which one should we do?
Play the ace.
Yeah. So it wouldn't have worked this time, that West covered for some reason, but that's still the percentage way to play.
Okay.
Yeah, alright, so let's look at another one. Okay, so here in spades, how do we want to play the spade suit?
Play that ace first.
Yeah.
And then see what cards draw. No, they're all low ones.
Yeah.
And then do a finesse.
Alright, so what we want to do is we want to go through the different options. So we're missing queen, 4, 3, 2 of spades.
Yeah.
So what we can do is, our two options, cash the ace and then take a finesse, or cash the ace king. Alright, so let's ignore all the layouts where both of those fail. So anytime east has queen third, anytime east has queen fourth. No, both of them fail. We also want to ignore when both of them work. So if there's a singleton queen with anyone, or if West has doubleton queen of spades. Okay. So now let's look at what other layouts are there.
West having queen third or queen fourth.
Yep. So if West has queen fourth, there's one of those layouts. With West having queen third, there's queen 4-3, queen 4-2, and queen 3-2. So there's three of those.
Yeah. Okay.
Does that make sense? That like how many combinations of that? With the queen fourth, there's queen 4-3-2. So that's all there is.
Yeah.
But with queen third, there's three more different queen thirds that you can have. So queen 4-3-2, queen is the 4-0. But one thing that we'll find out about the 4-0 split is what happens when you cash the ace of spades.
You see that then.
You see ace is going to show out, so then you'd know to take the finesse even if you were planning on playing the drop.
Yeah.
So the only three that we've really got is those three queen thirds with West. Okay, how many does playing the ace king cater for? So cashing the ace king, we'll hope that east has queen doubleton.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's queen 4 doubleton, queen 3 doubleton, queen 2 doubleton. So there's three of them.
Yeah.
And there's three of the queen third on side. So we're at a tie again. So how do we split the ties?
Can't remember.
So the more even distribution.
Yeah.
So is it more likely spades break 3-1 or 2-2?
2-2.
So how should we play the spades?
Ace king.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we do that?
Alright, so we haven't seen anyone have a 4-0 split, so we can just lay down the king. Okay, so it's queen third offside, so there's nothing we could do, but that's the percentage way. Does that make sense of how to try and solve them?
Yeah.
Alright, so there are certain times that you'll need to be able to solve a suit combination at a table, but it's a lot easier if there's just some common ones that you actually know. Okay, so with these ones, with the spade suits, is that, okay, so the general rule is, have you heard of 8 ever, 9 never? No. Okay, so what, some people say 8 ever, 9 never, and it's just talking about the percentage way to play it. And this is just, if we've got an 8 card suit missing the queen, you want to take a finesse.
Yeah.
If you've got a 9 card suit missing the queen, you want to play for it to drop.
Okay.
So like on that last one, we wanted to bang down the ace king. You can also work out what to do if you've got a 10 or 11 card suit. And the way it works is with 8 ever, 9 never. If you've got 8 or 9, with 8 you take the finesse, with 9 you take the drop. If you move it up to 10 and 11, we also move the honour we're missing. So instead of it being the queen we care about, but now the king. So with 10 cards missing the king, we want to take a finesse, and 11 cards missing the king, we want to play for the drop.
Okay.
You can also move it down from 8 and 9 cards to 7 and 6 cards, but you have to move the honour you care about down as well. So instead of it being the queen, it's now the jack. So if you've got 6 cards missing the jack, you can take a finesse, and if you've got 7 cards missing the jack, play for it to drop.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so that's the general rule of 8 ever, 9 never. So here, 10, missing the king, we want to take a finesse, and 11, missing the king. 11 missing the king, we want to play for it to drop. With 9 cards, 9 cards back to the queen, then we play for the drop. And if we've got 8 cards missing the queen, then we'd take a finesse. So we redeal. Okay, so different scenario, but that's a general guideline for those ones.
Okay.
Here's another suit combination that you see a reasonable amount, where we're missing king, queen, 10 to whatever. Alright, so how can we play the spade suit? Alright. So if we wanted to just lose one spade, what can we do?
To try and finesse the 10.
Yeah, so we can hope that West has the 10. So there's 2 sorts of different lines of play, and finessing the 10 is definitely right. We could either lead low towards the jack, hoping West has both the king and the queen, because we'd go low, queen, ace, and we'd cross back and lead low towards the jack, hope for the best. But finessing the 10 is much better. So if we lead low towards the 9, if West has the 10, that'll force out one of the king or the queen. That leaves West with the other missing, well, hopefully West has the other honour. So by finessing the 10, we're hoping West has like king 10 third or queen 10 third. So that's how I'd want to play that spade suit. So if you're missing king, queen, 10, it doesn't really matter if we had an 8 card fit or whatever. Finessing the 10 is what you want to do with this sort of suit combination. Alright, what about this spade suit for just one loser? What are your thoughts?
I don't know.
Don't know? Alright, so here what we've got is we've got really good pips in spades. We've got the 10, 9, 8. So what we can do is what's called a double finesse, and we can play West for one of the 2 honours. So what we want to do here is just win and lead one of the 10, 9 or 8 and let that run. If that loses to East, we can then finesse again by leading the queen. You can potentially lead the queen the first time, but what that loses to is if East actually has all 5 spades, because it would go queen, show out, and then we'd definitely lose the king, jack, and one more. If we lead the 8 and it goes 8, show out, we can now put on the ace and lead up again. But what we can do here is we can win 8 of spades or the 10 of spades, or that take a finesse, and we've lost 1, but now we can take another finesse and lead the queen, and that's the best way. It's hoping that West has one of the 2 honours, which is 75%. So that's a double finesse there. Right, might have one more. Okay, how do you play the spade suit for no losers?
I don't know. You could play more one to the queen,
Mm-hmm.
and then play the ace and hope for the best.
Yeah, that's what you want to do. Nice hope. So the general hope is that spades are 2-2 with the king on side. Your other option is playing like spade to the 10, which is hoping for both the king and the jack on side, which is about 25%. Whereas if you play a spade to the queen and then cash the ace, you're hoping that the king's on side and that they're 2-2. If we play a spade and we saw the jack of spades appear here, we would then cross back and finesse to the 10 again. Yeah. So we can still pick up some of the 3 ones, but this is the best way to hope that we've got no losers. We'll bring it up once more. So how do we want to play the spade suit if we're happy for one loser though? So let's say we were in 6 spades and we wanted to make sure we didn't lose 2 spade tricks. What can we do?
I don't know. Just play the ace.
Yeah, so what you want to do is you want to play the ace, and then you want to cross back to your hand and lead up towards the queen 10 and just cover whatever West plays unless it's the king. So the idea being is that if we played a spade to the queen like we did last time, if that loses to the king, we don't know if East has king jack doubleton or singleton king, and then if we played towards the ace we'd lose jack to jack third here. Mm-hmm. Whereas if we finessed again we'd lose to king jack doubleton. If we're happy to lose one, by cashing the ace first, right, then if we cross over, if West had king jack third spade, we'd get to see the jack appear and we could cover it. If spades are 2-2 we don't lose. If East had king jack doubleton, we're all good. The only times we'd ever lose is if East had king jack third or king jack fourth spade. So here, yeah, and there's nothing we could do. So remember about suit combinations, we just ignore the ones we can't do anything about, and then you try and weigh up the odds of, alright, how many combinations are there for something we can do or something we can't do. So that was the last suit combo that I was going to do.